The asteroid belt around the red dwarf star looked quiet and empty. Small rocks floated slowly in the cold darkness. Far away, a tiny metal structure moved in orbit around a gray asteroid. It was human Outpost K-17. The station was not large. It was only a research and supply station built by humans many years ago. To most alien empires, it looked weak and unimportant. Only a few ships ever stopped there. Inside the station, life moved slowly and calmly. Commander Daniel Hayes stood near the main observation window. The stars were bright outside. He held a small cup of coffee in his hand and watched the silent asteroid belt. Behind him, several crew members worked at their consoles. "Commander," said Lieutenant Mara-chan from the sensor station, "long-range scanners are still clear." Hayes nodded. "Good," he said calmly. The outpost had only 23 humans living there. Most of them were engineers, scientists, and security officers. Their job was simple: watch the sector and maintain the communication relay between distant human colonies. It was usually very boring work. Private Luis Ortega stretched in his chair. "I swear," he said, "if nothing happens today, I'm going to start talking to the coffee machine." Some of the crew laughed quietly. Then suddenly, "Commander," Mara said sharply. Everyone looked at her. "What is it?" Hayes asked. Her fingers moved quickly across the console. "I'm detecting multiple warp signatures," she said slowly. The room became silent. "How many?" Hayes asked. Mara stared at the screen. Her face grew serious. "Too many," she whispered. The stars outside suddenly flashed. 1, 2, 5, 10. Large alien warships appeared from hyperspace around the asteroid belt. Dark metal ships spread out like predators surrounding prey. The outpost alarms began to scream. "Unknown fleet detected," the computer voice announced. Private Ortega leaned forward in shock. "Those are not traitors," he said quietly. Hayes placed his coffee down and stepped closer to the sensor display. Mara spoke again. "Commander, I am reading 43 battleships." The crew exchanged worried looks. Hayes took a slow breath. "Identification?" he asked. Mara scanned the signals. A moment later her eyes widened. "Zerath Dominion," she said. The name alone filled the room with tension. The Zerath Dominion was a powerful alien empire known for conquering smaller civilizations. Their fleets were large, aggressive, and very confident, but they had never attacked humans directly before. Until now. Outside, the massive alien ships began moving into formation around the small station. Private Ortega whispered, "Why would they come here?" No one answered. A message suddenly appeared on the main screen. "Incoming transmission." Hayes nodded. "Put it on." The screen flickered. A tall alien appeared. His skin was dark blue, and his eyes glowed yellow. Sharp armor covered his shoulders. He looked down at the humans with clear amusement. "I am Fleet Commander Varric of the Zerath Dominion," the alien said slowly. His voice was deep and confident. "Human station, you are now inside Dominion territory." Hayes crossed his arms calmly. "That's interesting," he replied, "because our maps say otherwise." The alien commander gave a cold smile. "Your maps are now incorrect." Several alien ships moved closer to the station. Weapon systems powered up. Red targeting lights filled the sensor screens. Vera continued speaking. "You will surrender your outpost immediately. All human personnel will power down defenses and prepare for Dominion inspection." Silence filled the control room. Private Ortega muttered quietly, "Inspection my ass." Hayes ignored the comment. Instead, he looked directly at the alien commander. "And if we refuse?" Hayes asked. The alien commander leaned forward slightly. "Then we will remove your station from existence." Behind Varric, several huge cannons on alien ships slowly turned toward a human outpost. The threat was clear, but something strange happened. The humans did not panic. They did not argue. Commander Hayes simply turned to Mara-chan. "Send a message," he said. She nodded immediately. "What message, sir?" Hayes spoke only 3 words. "Outpost under attack." Mara typed the message quickly. "Sending now." The signal shot through the deep space communication relay toward Earth. Varric watched silently from the screen. "That was a call for help?" he asked with mild curiosity. Hayes shrugged slightly. "You could say that." The alien commander laughed softly. "You misunderstand your situation, human. Even if your people come to help, they will arrive too late." He gestured toward the surrounding fleet. "Your station is outnumbered and surrounded." Inside the outpost, Lieutenant Chun checked the system again. "Message delivered," she said. Hayes nodded once. Then he pressed a small button on the command console. Suddenly, a countdown timer appeared on the main screen. 10 o'clock. Private Ortega blinked. "A commander?" he said. Hayes spoke calmly. "All crew battle stations." The crew immediately moved to their positions. Defense systems powered on. Small turret cannons extended from the station's hull. Energy shields activated with a low hum. Outside, the alien fleet observed the sudden activity. Commander Varric tilted his head. "What is the meaning of that timer?" he asked. Hayes looked back at the screen. "Just procedure," he said. Varric studied the humans carefully. "You believe you can resist my fleet for 10 minutes? Hayes smiled slightly. "We'll see." Varric considered the situation for a moment. Then he gave the order. "All ships, prepare to fire." Outside, alien weapons glowed bright blue. Inside the station, warning lights flashed. Private Ortega swallowed nervously. "Commander, they are charging weapons." Hayes nodded calmly. "Understood." The timer continued counting down. 8:42, 8:41, 8:40. Varric spoke again. "This is your final chance, humans. Surrender now." Hayes leaned against the console casually. "No." The alien commander's expression hardened. "So be it." He raised his clawed hand. "Fire." The asteroid belt exploded with light. Bright beams of alien energy slammed into the human outpost. The station shook violently. Metal walls groaned under the impact. Inside, sparks flew from damaged panels. Private Ortega grabbed his console. "Shields dropping," he shouted. Hayes remained calm. "Return fire." Human turret cannons fired back. Small but fast projectiles shot toward the alien ships. The shots barely scratched their massive armor. Still, the humans continued firing. The timer kept counting. 6:10. Another explosion rocked the station. One of the outer modules broke apart and drifted into space. Lieutenant Chen shouted, "Hull breach on level 3. Hayes nodded. "Seal it." The alien fleet continued their attack. Commander Varric watched the battle with mild interest. "These humans are stubborn," he said. His officers laughed. "Primitive creatures often are," one replied. Another blast struck the station. More damage alarms filled the control room. Private Ortega looked at the timer. For O2, he frowned. "Commander, what exactly happens when the timer reaches 0? Hayes did not answer immediately. Instead, he watched the stars outside the window. Then he spoke quietly. Something important. Another explosion shook the station. Lights flickered. The shields finally collapsed. Alien ships moved closer. Varric smiled. "Finish them." 3 o'clock. 2:59. Inside the control room, smoke filled the air. Systems were failing. But Commander Hayes still looked strangely calm. Lieutenant Chen stared at the timer. "Sir, 2 minutes." Hayes nodded. "Good." Outside, alien ships prepared their final attack. Commander Varric leaned back confidently. "Humans," he said into the transmission channel. "Your resistance has been entertaining." He paused. "But it is over." Hayes looked up at the screen. "No," he said quietly. "It's just beginning." The alien commander frowned slightly. Inside the station, the timer continued to fall. 1:15, 1:14, 1:13. Private Ortega whispered nervously, "I really hope you know what you're doing, Commander." Hayes gave a small smile. "Oh, I do." Far away across the galaxy, the 3-word message from the Outpost had just reached Earth, and the people who received it were already preparing an answer. A very powerful answer. One that the Zerath Dominion would never forget. Far across the galaxy, on a blue world called Earth, thousands of satellites moved silently in orbit, deep below the surface of the planet. Hidden under mountains and layers of steel, a command center watched the stars every second. This place was called Human High Command. Inside the massive control room, hundreds of screens showed star systems, fleets, colonies, and distant outposts. Officers worked quietly at their stations. Most nights were calm, but tonight was different. A soft alert sound suddenly appeared on one console. Incoming priority signal, an operator said. He leaned closer to the screen. Source, Outpost K-17. Another officer looked over. That station almost never sends priority signals. The operator opened the message. The entire message contained only 3 words. Outpost under attack. The room fell silent. A senior officer quickly walked toward the central table. Confirm the signal, she said. The operator nodded. Signal verified. No error. Within seconds, the message moved through several levels of command. It reached a secure room where only a few people were allowed to enter. Inside that room sat Admiral Jonathan Rains, leader of the Human Defense Fleet. The Admiral was an older man with gray hair and sharp eyes. He had seen many wars in his life. A young officer handed him the message tablet. Sir, priority message from Outpost K-17. Rains read the words slowly. Then he placed the tablet down. Time of transmission, he asked. 6 minutes ago, sir. Rains nodded once. Contact verification satellites. I want visual confirmation. The officer moved quickly. Within moments, long-range observation drones near the asteroid belt sent back images. The large screen in the room lit up. Everyone saw the same thing. A massive alien fleet surrounding the small human outpost. Laser fire flashed across the dark space. One officer whispered, "That's the Zerath Dominion." Another officer looked worried. 40 ships, maybe more. Admiral Rains watched quietly. The screen showed the human station shaking under heavy attacks. The Admiral's voice stayed calm. Was the attack provoked? One officer checked diplomatic records. No conflict reports. No warnings. No disputes. Rains folded his hands behind his back. So they attacked first. Yes, sir. For a few seconds, no one spoke. Then the Admiral said 3 simple words. Activate the protocol. The room immediately changed. Officers began working quickly. Screens switched to new displays. Security locks sealed the doors. One young officer looked confused. Sir, are we really doing this? The Admiral turned slightly. Did they attack a human station? Yes. Do we start the fight? No, sir. Rains nodded. Then the answer is simple. He looked toward the large central computer. Begin final defense protocol. Deep underground, massive machines started waking from long sleep. Across human space, secret bases received the same command. Protocol confirmed. Target system required. One officer spoke again. Sir, we only have a location of the outpost. Rain shook his head, scanned the attacking fleet, tracked their origin. The computer began analyzing the alien ships. Within seconds, it identified their travel patterns. A glowing point appeared on the galactic map. Zerath Dominion home system located. The computer announced. The room went quiet again. Another officer swallowed nervously. Sir, that's their homeworld. Rains nodded slowly. Yes. He looked back at the screen, showing the battle near Outpost K-17. The station looked badly damaged now. More explosions flashed across its surface. Are we still receiving signals from the outpost? He asked. Yes, sir. Life signs still active. Rains allowed himself a small smile. Good. Commander Hayes always was stubborn. Meanwhile, far away in the asteroid belt, the battle continued. The human outpost was barely holding together. Inside the control room, smoke drifted through the air. Private Ortega wiped sweat from his forehead. Commander! Hull integrity at 30%. Another explosion shook the station. Metal panels fell from the ceiling. Lieutenant Chun checked her screens. Main reactor stable, but shields are completely gone. Outside, alien ships circle like hunters. Commander Varric watched the battle calmly from his flagship. These humans are wasting their final moments, he said. One of his officers spoke. The station will not last another 5 minutes. Varric nodded. Destroy completely. Back inside the outpost, the countdown timer continued. 140, 139. Commander Hayes stood in the center of the control room. He looked around at his crew. Despite the danger, none of them had left their stations. Private Ortega looked at him. Commander, with respect, what exactly are we waiting for? Hayes gave a small smile, for them to realize their mistake. Another powerful blast struck the station. The floor shook violently. Warning alarm screamed. Outside, the alien fleet prepared one final strike. Commander Varric leaned forward. All ships concentrate fire. Bright energy cannons glowed across the fleet. The asteroid belt lit up like a small sun. Inside the outpost, the timer reached 30 seconds. 030. 00:29. Lieutenant Chin stared at the display. Sir, signal from Earth just arrived. Hayes nodded calmly. Good. Private Ortega blinked. Wait, they answered already? Chin looked confused. It's not a message. What is it? Hayes asked. Her eyes widened. It's a confirmation code. Hayes looked satisfied. Perfect timing. Outside, the alien fleet fired again. Massive beams of energy rushed toward the station. Inside the control room, the timer reached its final seconds. 010, 009, 008. Commander Hayes quietly sat down in his chair. The crew stared at the screen. 005, 004, 003. Far across the galaxy, inside the human high command bunker, a single officer pressed a red button. The computer voice spoke calmly. Target confirmed. Final defense weapon deployed. Back near the asteroid belt. The timer reached 0. 00:0. The station lights went dark for a moment. Private Ortega looked around. A commander? Hayes stood up slowly. Now, he said quietly, we wait. Outside, the alien fleet celebrated their victory. Commander Varric watched the damaged station. Prepare boarding teams, he ordered. But at that exact moment, deep in space, something invisible began moving. Not a ship, not a fleet, something far more dangerous. A signal traveling faster than light. It was heading toward only one place, the Zerath Dominion homeworld. And no one in the alien fleet knew what was coming. Not yet. The Zerath Dominion homeworld was a massive planet, twice the size of Earth. Its cities stretched across continents, connected by floating highways and enormous energy bridges. Millions of Zeraths lived in towering structures that scraped the clouds. The planet was proud, powerful, and untouchable, or at least that's what everyone thought. High in orbit, massive defense platforms monitored space. Hundreds of sensors scanned the sector for threats. But they were blind to what was coming. Back in the asteroid belt near Outpost K-17, the human station had taken heavy damage. The hull was scorched, hull plates torn, and emergency lights blinked red in every room. But inside, the crew moved calmly. Commander Daniel Hayes stood by the observation window. His eyes were fixed on a small blip on the sensors, a single object moving incredibly fast. It's approaching, Lieutenant Chin said, her voice shaking slightly. Just a little patience, Hayes replied. Private Ortega frowned. Patience? It looks like it's, I don't even know, faster than anything I've ever seen. Faster than you're allowed to know, Hayes said with a small smile. Just watch. Far away, the Zerath fleet was still celebrating their victory. Commander Varric hovered over the holographic table on his flagship. He had already begun sending reports home. The human outpost is destroyed, he said. Territory secured. Return to base. But his officers' faces suddenly turned pale. Commander, sensors are detecting something. It's moving too fast, not from any known human ship. Varric frowned. Explain. It's heading straight for our homeworld, sir. Varric's laughter died in his throat. Impossible. Nothing human could travel this distance in this time. But the blip grew larger on their sensors. Not ships. Not missiles. Something different. A shape that bent the light around it, like space itself was warping. On the planet below, the capital city's towers gleamed under the blue sun. Millions of citizens went about their day, completely unaware of the approaching doom. In orbit, The planetary sensors tried to scan the object. Readings were impossible. Its energy signature was unlike anything recorded in Zerath history. Varric barked orders. All defense systems, fire everything. Intercept it. Massive weapons launched from orbital cannons, filling the vacuum with glowing projectiles. Lasers swept the sky. Energy shields flared. But the object didn't slow. It passed through their attacks like they weren't even there. A pause. Then a low hum filled the atmosphere. A sound no ear should hear. The air seemed to vibrate. The oceans on the planet shimmered unnaturally. Inside the Zerath command tower, alarm screamed. Holographic displays went blank. Entire sensor arrays failed. Varric's claw trembled as he tried to make sense of it. It can't be. What is this weapon? On the asteroid belt, Commander Hayes quietly monitored the readouts. That's exactly what I was hoping for, he murmured. The blip slowed as it reached the orbit of the Zerath planet. Then it split into hundreds of smaller signals, moving in perfect synchronization, targeting precise coordinates across the entire homeworld. Inside the Zerath cities, the sky turned white. First, the oceans lifted off the planet in enormous waves. They hung in the sky like floating glass. Next, entire buildings disintegrated. The towers, the highways, the energy bridges, all vanished. Millions of Zerath citizens didn't even have time to scream. The planet groaned as massive cracks appeared on its surface. Mountains broke apart. Volcanoes erupted instantly. The core of the planet destabilized. Varric fell to his knees. Impossible, he whispered. He looked at the sensors again. Nothing. No warning. No explosions. Just silence. A slow, inevitable collapse of everything. The alien officer screamed, "Evacuate! Evacuate!" The remaining ships attempted to flee, but the gravitational anomalies caused by the weapon pulled them back toward the dying planet. One by one, massive cruisers were torn apart. Back on the human outpost, Hayes leaned back. "Let them see the result," he said. Private Ortega whispered, "Sir, is this really happening?" "Yes," Hayes said. "They wanted to test us. They wanted to attack. This is the consequence." In orbit above the planet, the weapon finally completed its task. The homeworld that had once been a symbol of alien pride and power was gone. In its place floated fragments, molten rock, and empty space. A bright, white glow lingered for a moment, then faded, leaving nothing but a black void. Varric stared at the destruction through broken sensors. The fleet was in chaos. Many ships had already been destroyed. Those that remained surrendered immediately. No one dared speak. The Zerath Dominion had been wiped off the map in minutes, all because they dared to attack one human outpost. Across the galaxy, alien races began picking up the signals from the destroyed homeworld. Panic spread. Messages were sent frantically to Earth, asking why humanity had done this. Back on Earth, in human high command, Admiral Raines received the first reports. He leaned back in his chair and smiled slightly. "Do not worry," he said quietly. "They attacked. They tested us. Now everyone will know the rules." In the asteroid belt, Commander Hayes turned to his crew. "Report," he said. "Lieutenant Chen checked her instruments. No casualties among us, sir. The station is damaged, but still operational. Outpost K-17 is intact." Private Ortega exhaled. I can't believe it. Their whole planet gone." Hayes nodded. "That's why you always respect a human outpost." Outside, the void of space was calm again, but a warning had been written in the stars. A message that would echo across the galaxy. Never attack a human station. Because humans may be small and humans may be few, but humans finish wars completely. Far beyond the shattered remains of the Zerath homeworld, a stunned silence filled the galaxy. Alien species that had long considered themselves rulers of space now whispered in fear. News traveled faster than light through trading networks, communication relays, and hidden intelligence probes. Every major civilization received the same report. The entire Zerath Dominion was gone, erased in minutes. Back at Outpost K-17, the human crew stood quietly in the observation room. The asteroid belt around them looked peaceful again, almost too peaceful. Commander Daniel Hayes leaned on the console and watched the blackness of space. The debris from the Zerath fleet floated far in the distance, Harmless for now. Lieutenant Chin broke the silence. Commander, they didn't send a single ship to attack us again. Not even a fighter. Hayes shook his head slowly. They won't. They already learned their lesson. He paused, eyes on the stars. This is why humans don't start wars, but when we finish them completely. Private Ortega muttered, Sir, it still feels unreal. We just survived and their planet gone. Yes, Hayes said calmly. That's why you respect humans. Never underestimate us. Meanwhile, across human space, Admiral Jonathan Rain stood in the command room at High Command. He had been monitoring the situation in real time through deep space sensors, watching the events unfold like a living chessboard. An officer approached him nervously. Sir, the rest of the galaxy is reacting. Messages are coming from dozens of alien governments asking for explanation. Rains rubbed his temples. I expected this, he said quietly. Prepare a broadcast. I want every major race in the galaxy to receive it directly. Screens flickered, and a calm voice echoed across the communication channels, translated automatically into alien languages. This is human high command. We do not start wars. We do not seek conflict. But we will respond when provoked. Attack a human outpost. And you are declaring war on every human world. Humanity will finish the fight completely. This is not a threat. This is a promise. The message traveled light years in minutes. Alien leaders and citizens alike received it simultaneously. Panic spread in every capital city. Entire fleets were held in check as commanders reconsidered their actions. Humans, they realized, were not just another species. They were a force to be respected, feared even, and to be treated with caution. Back on the asteroid belt, Hayes turned to his crew. Prepare for assessment reports. Earth will want every detail from this encounter. Lieutenant Chin nodded. Sir, I can't stop thinking about the Zeraths. Their arrogance, they believed humans were weak. Hayes smiled faintly. They weren't the first, and they won't be the last. But they will remember this. All of them will. Never attack a human station. Never underestimate the human spirit. That's the lesson the galaxy will learn. Private Ortega leaned on the console. Commander, do you think anyone else will try? Hayes shrugged. Some will, and some will pay the same price. But humanity is patient. We wait, we watch, and when the time comes, we respond. Outside the station, the asteroid belt glimmered under distant starlight. Silence settled over the outpost, broken only by the low hum of its systems. In the distance, the scattered debris of the Zerath fleet floated like a warning, a permanent reminder to every civilization. Days later, fleets from neutral alien worlds arrived near human-controlled space. Not to attack, but to negotiate. Delegates from multiple species met in orbit around Earth's core systems. Their leaders were cautious, careful, and respectful. No one argued about humans anymore. Instead, every alien intelligence took careful notes about the humans' capabilities and their merciless efficiency when provoked. On Earth, Admiral Rains addressed the staff. We have shown the galaxy that humanity will not be bullied, but we have also shown restraint. This is the way humans operate. Strategic, calculated, precise, not reckless. The galaxy will think twice before challenging us again. Far beyond Earth, a lone alien scout ship drifted through the void, scanning the remnants of Zerath territory. Its captain reported back to his homeworld. The humans, they are unlike anything we've seen. Their strength, their patience, their precision unmatched. The message from Outpost K-17 became legendary across the stars. Scholars, historians, and military strategists studied the event for decades. The story of 23 humans defending a single outpost against an entire alien empire, and the final response that erased a homeworld, became part of galactic history. Commander Hayes, standing once more at the observation window of the outpost, looked at the stars. The galaxy will remember this day, he said softly. Lieutenant Chun, standing beside him, nodded. Yes, sir. And the message is clear. Humanity cannot be underestimated. Hayes turned slightly, smiling faintly. Remember this, every civilization will know it now. Attack a human, and you invite complete annihilation. But humans, we are patient. We watch. We survive. And when necessary, we finish what we start. Private Ortega shook his head. I think I understand now, sir. This isn't just a battle. It's a warning. A story for the galaxy. Yes, Hayes said, and one that will be remembered for generations. Not because we destroyed a planet, but because we protected humanity. Because one small outpost, one tiny group of humans, can change the fate of the galaxy. The asteroid belt glowed faintly in the distance, reflecting the scattered debris of the Zerath fleet. It was quiet now, peaceful, but the story of that day, the day the galaxy learned never to underestimate humans, would echo across space forever. Commander Hayes stepped back from the observation window. He turned to his crew. Report system status, he said. All systems stable, sir. Lieutenant Chen replied. Station repaired enough to continue operations. Outpost K-17 remained secure. Hayes nodded. Good. Send updates to Earth. And then we wait. Watch the galaxy. Learn its patterns. Humanity has survived today, and that is enough. The galaxy will think twice before testing us again. Private Ortega let out a long sigh. I still can't believe it. All because we didn't panic. Hayes smiled faintly. That's what makes us human. Courage under pressure, patience under fire, and the strength to survive no matter the odds. The camera, or the imagination of anyone hearing this story centuries later, would remember this small human station floating quietly in the asteroid belt. A simple outpost, a handful of humans, and the silent, unstoppable force of a species that refuses to be conquered. The galaxy would never forget Outpost K-17, and the humans who taught a lesson no one would ever dare ignore again, because humans may forgive many things, but they never forgive the first strike, and when provoked, they finish completely. And so, the story ends not with war, not with destruction, but with a lesson written across the stars. Never attack a human outpost. Never underestimate humanity. And never forget that patience and intelligence are often more deadly than overwhelming force. Asterisk, asterisk. The galaxy was forever changed, and humanity quietly waited for the next challenge.